Hello, wonderful people. Chris Odom here. Today I'm going to show you a little bit more about StudySync, our district resource, and how you can use it for finding some reteach lessons that are called spotlight skills, and how there is one for every skills lesson that already is taught in the first part of instruction, but can be an immediate follow-up for small groups or just pulling students and having a chance to talk about the lesson a little bit more, and then giving another form of assessment, which is a different task than they did the first time. And it is very small and can immediately give you a sense of whether we have mastery or not, when you really wouldn't have to build a whole lot more common formatives yourself. So I want to go ahead and show you, share my screen here. And they are called spotlight skills. And so if you're hunting around and getting familiar with what was he talking about, I know he was talking about some kind of tests that were kind of like common formatives that we could go ahead and reassign and even assign to specific people, not everyone, particular groups. And then I guess that's the power in having it be a digital format, is it pretty easily you can send out a lot of different work to a lot of different people and then check in with people and kind of have those small conference situations to make sure we have understanding. And then really you come into play when we don't, because you can really decipher what really is missing from the understanding, because you know the person and have worked with them quite a bit. Plus your expertise as a teacher comes into play because you have seen this kind of instruction before and might understand or be familiar with a lot of the barriers to some of these standards and skills. Okay, so homepage, this is where we are. It's where everything is. We get back there just by clicking the big StudySync in the corner. And then we're going to go ahead and look in the library. A lot of the tabs across the top might do things you have not discovered yet. That is entirely fine. As you learn more, I think you find that there's even more and more to it than you didn't know beforehand. So that's the trick of working with this. And one reason I'm making these videos, to see if we can be sure we guarantee some of these things are happening in all of our schools. Okay, so the library, when I open that, you can see a gray bar kind of pops up underneath it. That happens for all the tabs across the top. So if you hadn't realized that there are more things to select that are hidden, then you might just notice this bar already. Okay, so library, and then I'm going to move over all the way until I see skills. And then I'm going to click on this filter in the right corner. These filters are super helpful. If you knew exactly what you were looking for and what skill, you might go in there, but you see you'd have to wander through about 3,500 other things. So let's go to filter, and I'm going to go ahead and select 7th grade. That's the kind of level I've been making some of these videos as an example. So we'll just stay with 7 for now, and we'll see even just selecting 7, I can come over here to the far right and see spotlight skills, and it tells me there's 113 just for grade 7. So I'm going to turn that on. And then what happens is, because I've made these 2 selections, then it's narrowed my focus down below to only things that have those 2 things in true. And I have quite a bit down here. So if you knew a particular skill that was needful for reteach when you were working with the group the first time around, then what you know is that as long as they start with the word spotlight, then it's not exactly the same lesson, nor is it exactly the same check for understanding. So these would establish something you could use as common formatives to then make your move after the first time, after you've done some re-instruction, and then have a way to really quickly reassess the student based on what you taught them. Okay, so I hope those are some helpful ways that you can see really just to find additional lessons. Let's go in one for the moment, and you can just see the way that they are organized is also similar to how they are in the regular lessons from the core instructional path, and that they have these multiple pieces down the left margin, which are traditionally the lesson parts we see across the top. But you are to work with the students on this in perhaps a small group, or pulling a co-teacher into the mix, so that we have a chance to do this kind of class within class experience. But if these are just assigned and kind of doled out, like here's some more tasks for you to work on, we really won't have a chance to discover with the student what the lack of knowledge might be. And it will really just kind of repeat itself. So remember, you, the teacher, have a very active role in leading us through definition, working on some key vocabulary, doing a model. And this is really key because this is where, in being really explicit and clear as the teacher, direct more in this moment, then we can really help exploring setting the foundation and exploring what might be missing from a student's understanding. Okay, so going through this model and being that participatory with the students during that time, and then turning back to them some of the challenge and practice to put into place, and then completing, if there is one, the writing component that sometimes there are for some of these spotlight skills. Okay, in order to assign this task, once I decided I liked it, then I would go up here to actions and use for new skills assessment. And it will essentially become, right like you're used to, a different task, how you would always assign it. Now, going into this target means you could assign it to some of your students, all of your students, or any subgroups that you may have assigned. You can also customize the assignment so that as you're giving it out, you could put an encouraging note, a little video even of yourself talking about what you think the students need to do in order to prepare to nail this task. So in some ways, these tasks could be a little bit more asynchronous if you put some of these parts in here that would help them exist without you, kind of like I'm making a video now, so that it could exist, without me there, but still be somewhat effective in showing people what I wanted them to know. Okay, so if you've seen anything in there you like, I hope you know that spotlight skills are powerful ways for you to rethink how common formatives might be at your fingertips, and then put them in play and have a lot more time to react to the data and plan for instruction. So if you want to know more about any of these things, please get a hold of me, but we're going to leave it at that.